It was one of those brutal Wyoming winters that hits you like a freight train, the kind where the wind howls through Pine Ridge like it's got a personal grudge, and I, Elijah Thompson, just a worn-out mechanic pushing 60, was out there racing against the clock to patch up the old river bridge before the blizzard buried it for good. That bridge was my lifeline, the last gig keeping food on the table for me and my little granddaughter Lily, who's only 7 and already carrying the weight of losing her folks too young. But as I skidded up to that icy mess, headlights cutting through the whiteout, there it was, a crumpled SUV flipped on its side, hazard lights flickering like a desperate SOS, and inside, a woman trapped, her face pressed against the glass, barely moving. Without a second thought, I slammed on the brakes, jumped out into the gale that nearly knocked me flat, and pried that door open with everything I had, glass slicing my hand, cold burning my lungs, because in that moment, saving her felt like the only thing that mattered, even if it meant kissing my paycheck goodbye as the snow piled up on those loose bolts I was supposed to tighten. Man, pulling Mia, that's her name, Mia Lawson, as I found out later, out of that wreck and bundling her into my truck, it was like hauling a ghost, her skin ice cold, lips blue, but her chest rising just enough to give me hope. And all the while I'm thinking about Lily back at the neighbors, clutching that faded photo of her mom like it's her whole world, wondering if I'd make it home by dawn like I promised. We made it to my rickety cabin on the edge of town, the heater cranking weak warmth as the storm raged on, slamming against the walls like it wanted in, and I got Mia inside, laid her on the couch by the fire, stripped off my own coat to drape over her, ignoring the chills seeping into my bones while Lily watched wide-eyed, asking in that small voice of hers, "Grandpa, is she gonna be okay?" And I muttered something about folks needing help sometimes. But deep down, my gut twisted because the cupboards were near empty, just a couple cans of beans and stale bread to stretch between us three, and that bridge job? Forgotten under drifts of snow, my future slipping away plank by plank. But hey, what was I gonna dolave her to freeze? Nah, not my style, even if it meant scraping by on fumes. As the night dragged on, Mia stirred a bit, her eyes fluttering open in the firelight. And she whispered a shaky "thank you" that hit me right in the chest, like she'd been through hell and back, and over thin soup by the hearth. I'm skipping my share to make sure Lily and her had enough. We started talking, or rather, she started dodging, her hands fidgeting with this backpack she clung to like a secret. Little things slipped out though, like how she was just passing through Pine Ridge, but her glances at the window, the way she froze when a truck rumbled by outside, it screamed trouble. And then bam, her bag zipped open just enough for a flash drive to tumble out, which she snatched up quicker than a cat on a mouse, shoving it deep in her pocket with a forced smile that didn't reach her eyes. I didn't push, not then, but my mind raced. Who was this woman, really, and what kind of storm had she brought to my door? Morning came gray and unforgiving, the radio crackling about delayed inspections, meaning half my pay vanished like smoke, bills stacking up in my head, rent, heat, new shoes for Lily, and there Mia was, sitting up, still shivering but stronger, sharing bits of her story over coffee filters we pretended were fresh brew. Turns out she wasn't just any traveler. She was a reporter from Cheyenne, digging into dirt on Mayor Harlan Brooks, the slick-talking big shot who'd been promising the moon to Pine Ridge for years. New roads, drug crackdowns, federal aid after the floods, but pocketing it all, funneling cash through ghost projects tied to shady dealers, the kind that had hooked my own son years back, leaving him hollowed out and gone too soon. Mia's brakes? Sabotaged, she figured. Right before the crash, someone wanted her silenced, and now here she was, in my cabin, with proof on that drive that could blow it all wide open. The tension built slow at first, like the snow drifts creeping higher, but by afternoon, when the storm eased just enough for folks to stir, there came a knock that made my blood run cold. Mayor Brooks himself, standing on my porch with a phony grin and a sack of canned goods that screamed bribe, his eyes scanning the room like a hawk, lingering on the extra mug, the footprints in the melting snow. "Rough weather, Elijah," he drawled, all folksy charm masking the edge in his voice. "Heard you had company, hope everything's all right." And I shot back flat. "Just family and a friend in need. Harlan, nothing more." But Mia, hiding in the kitchen shadows, went pale as a ghost, her hands trembling because she knew his game, knew he'd tried to run her off the road to protect his empire built on lies and stolen dreams. That visit lit the fuse. Rumors flew over the CB radios, neighbors whispering about that outsider stirring trouble and how I'd sided against my own. Old pals like my buddy Tom avoiding my gaze across the yard, shaking their heads like I'd betrayed the town. All because Brooks had his hooks in deep, manipulating the HOA with land grabs, payoffs to keep mouths shut. Jealousy festering from folks who'd lost loved ones to the same drugs he profited from. It hurt. Man, like a knife twist me. The guy who'd fixed their trucks for free after storms, now the pariah, but inside. Anger simmered, thinking of my boy, of Lily's future in this poisoned place. And Mia? She opened up more, her voice cracking as she showed me snippets on that drive, fake invoices, photos of abandoned sites meant for shelters, but left rotting. Her determination fierce. Born from losing a brother to the same epidemic Brooks ignored for profit. Then came the showdown. The kind you see in movies but feels raw when it's your life. The town hall packed despite the lingering drifts. Lanterns flickering as Brooks took the podium, hands wide like a preacher, booming. We're a tight-knit family here in Pine Ridge. Didn't let some big city reporter divide us with her poison. And the crowd murmured agreement at first, eyes turning cold on me and Mia as we slipped in the back, Lily clutching my hand tight. But Mia stood up, backpack in grip, voice steady despite the shake, pulling out that drive and handing it to the deputy at the projector, files flashing up. Contracts with Brooks' signature, missing millions traced to his accounts, ties to dealers who'd flooded our streets. And she said sharp, "This isn't lies, Harlan, it's your greed on display, stealing from the folks you swore to protect." Her words, Mia, my like a slap, his face twisting in rage as he snarled back, "You think you can waltz in here and ruin me? You'll regret this, you meddling bitch." The threat hanging ugly in the air, gasps rippling through the room. That's when I rose, heart pounding but voice calm. "It's real, folks. I buried my son because of this mess, while Harlan promised change and pocketed the cash time to see the truth." And suddenly the tide turned. Old Mrs. Hargrove standing first, cane thumping, demanding explanations. Then Judge Ellis, stranded by the storm, stepping up, confirming the docs were legit, no forgeries. The crowd erupting in shouts. "Resign! Resign!" as deputies hesitated, then hauled Brooks out, kicking and spitting venom, his empire crumbling in that electric moment, the hall alive with haughty relief and raw anger. 6 months on, Pine Ridge breathed easier. The snow long melted. New council opening the books, real projects kicking off, Brooks awaiting trial in the city, his schemes exposed in Mia's articles that went viral, turning our little mess into a beacon for folks fighting corruption elsewhere. Me? I got my contract back, garage humming again, no more scraping by, and Lilith's out there laughing with kids, that photo tucked away safer now, her smile real for the first time in ages. Standing at another town hall, I shared simple. Storms bury us deep, but they wash clean. To plant those seeds right and watch what grows. Applause filling the air, Mia nodding from the crowd, our unlikely bond a quiet anchor. But here's the thing that nags at me still: was it worth the risk, dragging a whole town through the mud to uproot one man's rot? Or did we just trade old wounds for new divides? Makes you wonder about justice in small places like this, where lines blur between right and revenge. Hey, if this story hit Homer, if you've got your own tale of standing up to the big shots in your neck of the woods, drop a comment below. Was Brooks just a crook, or did the town enable him too long? Share your thoughts on community betrayals, fairness, or how far you'd go for the truth. Like, subscribe, hit that bell. We've got more real-life twists coming your way.